Hello and welcome back to episode 36 of Life is a Game. Today I'm joined by Piera. Do you want to give yourself a bit of an introduction?
Yes, so my name's Piera. I moved to Sydney there at the start of last year and loving life, originally from Ireland, from Uri. And yeah, so I am a big foodie. My whole life revolves around food. I have a food page on Instagram called Plates and Plans. And on TikTok it's just Piera Cafolla. I don't know why I didn't give myself the same name over both, but we'll move on with that. But yeah, basically my whole page is just around showing people how they can eat healthier without having to cut out everything that they love, and just teach people that it doesn't have to be one way or the other, and they can enjoy their life whilst whatever journey they're on food wise. So yeah.
I absolutely love that, and you're obviously doing so well with that at the moment. Do you feel like that's your purpose, let's say, in life?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've had started the food page back in 2018, and it started as a hobby, and it was only ever going to be a hobby in my head. I was like, I just love showing people what I know and trying to help people not make all the mistakes that I did. For whenever I got into kind of nutrition and the gym, it was back whenever the diet culture was so toxic, like it was the worst of the worst. Like everybody was just, it's chicken and rice or it's nothing else. And I feel like I tried every diet under the sun, and yes, they all worked, but they all worked for the same reason, being that you were in a calorie deficit. And whenever I realized that whole counting macros as opposed to just eating like a rabbit, I was like, shit, this works, you know?
Yeah.
So it started off whenever I was just always posting like stories on my own personal Instagram. Yeah. And then the amount of people that kept writing to me, what is this? What is this? And it was like, geez, I have to reply to everything. Like, not, there was loads, but it was like copy and paste. I was like, frig me, people want to know what I'm eating.
Yeah.
Do you know? And like, obviously from Ireland, you would be scunnered to start posting stuff like that on your own page. So then I made a separate page for all of this, and started off just posting what I was eating. It was just photos, it wasn't really videos. It was just photos, me posting what I was eating, and just kind of went from there. So yeah.
In terms of like business mindset, like I feel like that is so key for like someone starting a business. Like loads of people come up with these mad cool ideas and they start creating around what they think that people want, whereas you were getting the feedback and you knew that people actually, there was a gap for this and people were after this, and then started the page and built the business around what people are already asking you. So like that's actually such a good mindset in terms of if you're starting a business, to look for like what people are looking for and kind of build around that, as opposed to trying to create something yourself that people mightn't even like want or buy.
Yeah,
that's unreal. I would say, like, back in Ireland, talk me through your journey with like education, through like jobs, through like now working for yourself full time, which is unreal.
Yeah, so basically my journey is so mismatched that it's ridiculous. So whenever I left school, I was really into maths and physics. So started off, went into actuary. Now don't ask me what actuary is, because whenever people ask me now, I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know. I done it for half a year and I was trying my best, but was getting absolutely nowhere with it. So I dropped out of that. And then I was like, what do I do now? And I kind of always thought about doing engineering as well. And then I was like, right, I'll go back into school and speak to my careers teacher. And she was like, yeah, go for engineering, women in STEM. This is going to make you loads of money. You're going to love it. And we need more women in this. And I was like, great. I was like, she's told me what to do. I'm going to make a mint. I'm going to go and be an engineer.
It's not the advice that you get even coming out the other side. You're like, back then, and you take it as gospel because it's all you kind of know almost in a sense as well.
Yeah.
And like I was similar in college. I did like accounting, and it was literally for the money, chasing the money and stuff as well.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like that was all I was fixated on back then.
The only reason.
I'm going to make loads of money. I'm going to have a big house, and that's going to be me. I don't need to love the job. Even though I did love maths and physics, it was like, right, this engineering is obviously going to be along them lines. So I did the actually 2017. Then 2018 was whenever I went into the engineering. Now I signed up for a master's course. So it was like, you do the master's, like you complete the master's or else you don't get a degree. So it's like, you can't just do the 3 years, get your bachelor's. It's like you're on the master's from the start, so you have to finish it out. So that was grand. So with student finance in the north, I don't know, are you from the south?
South, I'm south.
So in the north, student finance covers, if you mess up 1 year, they'll still cover your next 4 years. So I was like, right, I have one mess up year that I can mess it up and I can move on to another course and they're still going to cover the next full course. Yeah. So I was like, right, that's grand. I can switch to the engineering and that's all covered for me. Obviously I have to pay them back. But switched to the engineering, and that was in 2018 September, and that was kind of in and around the same time whenever I started my page. So I was really into like just learning more about the nutrition at that stage, but I never thought it would be a job down the line, you know. So I was like, I'll just do this as my hobby on the side, and then I'll do my course and I'll do them at the same time.
Yeah.
And then done the engineering, finished it out. It was like after about the first year, I was like fixated on the nutrition kind of things, and I was like, I was still enjoying the engineering, but in my head, I was like, why the hell did I not change to nutrition? And at this stage, it was like, I've used my mess up here. I can't go back and change again. Also, I didn't do biology in school, so I couldn't have went into it. So I would have had to go to tech, I think, to do a biology and then go into that. So I was like, look, I'll just stick it out and I'm still going to get a good job out of it. So I done my 4 years, got my master's, and was still doing the page on the side. It was more like, it was probably, whenever I started the page, it was like maybe twice, 3 times a week, I would have just posted a photo and then I would have like written the recipe underneath it. And then as time went on, it was kind of like I could have posted maybe once a week, and then it was maybe once every couple of months. Like it was just like sporadic. It was never really like, I need to do this, I need to grow. It was just like whenever I feel like
hobby,
it. Yeah.
And like lean into something you enjoy as well, which is like unreal.
Yeah. So there was so many times when I was like, what am I doing? I'm like, I'm wasting my time. Not that I was wasting my time. I knew I was helping people, and that's what kept me going. Like it was never like, I never wanted to make money out of it, but I just felt like I wanted more, but I didn't know what the more was.
Yeah.
So done my degree. Whenever I came into my final year of my degree, which was my master's year, I kind of stopped posting completely because I was like, it's just too much. And like there was always those people like I would bump into the gym. They're like, why do you not do that anymore? And I'm like, it's just so hard to balance the two of them. Whenever I know I'm so passionate about that, but I'm like, it's going nowhere. Like in my head, it was going nowhere. So so whenever I finished uni, I was like, I need a break from the engineering. I was like, it was just so intense. So I took a year out. And then I was just working in a cafe and kind of just put the engineering to the back of my mind. But I also knew I wanted to go traveling. So I was like, right, I'm going to save. Actually, I'd done a lot of saving because it was whenever I was in uni, it was during COVID. So I got the furlough and then I had my student loan and I wasn't living down. So I had all this, not all this money, but enough money to go traveling. So in my head, I was like, right, I'm going to go traveling. And I kind of started maybe doing like the odd recipe just again because I had more free time. And it was on and off, and again, it was like, what am I doing? So I was like, this really isn't going anywhere. Again, like just doubting yourself. I don't know why. Like you just always doubt yourself so much. And I'm like, why do I not just believe in myself that this I actually can? I think I just didn't know what I wanted to do with it. Yeah. Do you know?
Yeah. Or thinking like it could never be me, or I could never do that. And like other people can, but like not believing you can actually have the same abilities and do the same yourself.
Yeah. So I think there was a period after then when I stopped posting completely, and then I booked a one-way flight to Bali. So that it was so weird. So whenever I decided I was going to go traveling and booked this one-way flight to Bali, but that was also the same day me and Ryan went on our first date.
No way. Yeah, so that's mad.
Yeah, it was mental. But at this stage, it was like one-way flight to Bali, and I knew I wanted to go to Australia after. So I was like, right, Bali, have my suitcase packed for Australia. After Bali, I'll get my mum to post that to Australia, and I'll go on to Australia. So that year went on, and then obviously me and Ryan kind of got closer, and I was like, shit, don't know what's going to happen here. But so that time went on, and then I wasn't really posting again, but then a message came through from Maeve Madden, and I don't know if you know her, but she's like an Irish influencer, but she has her own, I think it's a fitness app. It's called Queens Don't Quit, but she has like, at this stage she had over 300,000 followers, and she wrote to me asking me did I want to do the recipes for her page or her app. So I was like, Jesus, I was like, at this stage, I wasn't posting at all really on my page, and it was kind of just, I had the page there, and I grew, like, I think over COVID, I grew up to like 20,000 followers, which was great back then.
Yeah,
you know?
Amazing.
So obviously she'd seen that, and she reached out to me, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't even been posting, and she's reaching out. I was like, clearly there's something here, like obviously I'm good at what I do, and someone else can see that, you know, and that was kind of like
a little bit of evidence that you could actually maybe make something of it.
Yeah, and I was like, shit. So I started doing the recipes for her. So at that stage, again, it was only photos. So I was just writing out the recipes, sending them across to her, and I was doing that. So that was in and around the same time when I booked that flight to Bali. So I was doing that, and time went on. It was coming closer and closer to Bali, and I'm like, I was just kind of like, why am I going away here now whenever someone's took a chance on me and I'm going away, and like I knew I wouldn't be able to do both at the same time over there, because obviously the groceries are so different. You couldn't really give a recipe and then have all these Bali ingredients in it, you know, like I know some ingredients would be the same, but like for this style of recipe that I do, it's like taking all the unhealthy food and making it healthier. So that means I'm using like Nando's sauce and stuff like that. And like, I didn't know if I could get that out there. So in my head, I was like, I always wanted to travel. So should I take this time and just enjoy myself, or should I not go? And should I try and pursue this here? And I was like, no, I'm putting myself first here. I know the page will always be there and something else will come up, or it might not, but I'm going to go travel. I'm going to enjoy myself. So then packed that in with her, went away traveling. At this stage was also obviously still seeing Ryan. I left him at home.
Yeah.
He did come out then, because obviously in my head I was like, I was going to Australia after. He came out to Bali then for a month over my birthday, whenever, because I was away for about 5 months.
Yeah.
He came out for a month over my birthday, and whenever he came out, I was like, I can't go to Australia after here. Like, I was like, I'm gonna, like, because it was actually the day he was leaving. I mean, I was like, you could not console me. Like, I was like, I need to go home. So ended up going home after Bali, and again was kind of back to square one. It was like, do I push the page? I'm like, I had that opportunity, but now it's gone now. And I roped Ryan into obviously wanting to go to Australia as well. So I was like, right, the two of us, we're going to save together. We're going to take this year. So that was September. I was home from Bali. We're going to take this year, and then we'll just save and we'll go from there. So I was like, I'm going to get a year's experience, going to try and get a year's experience in the engineering. So I'll have that behind me for whenever I go to Australia. So
Yeah.
at least I can, because whenever I was supposed to do my placement in uni was the year COVID, so I had no experience whatsoever. And I always said if I was to go into the engineering, I would want to go into like sustainable energy or something that I know was going to help like our world going forward, you know, not just laying pipes and designing pipes. Ended up, got a job. Took the first job that was offered to me. Obviously, this was designing pipe routes. It was just not what I wanted. But I was like, look, it's experience, something to write in the CV. Yeah. That's great. I'm only have to do it. I knew in the back of my head, I was like, I'm going to Australia. So that was September, and we'd planned to go to Australia the following. So not the January, not the 3 months January, but the January the next year. So I think that could have been 2022, and ended up working in the engineering for that full, I think it was just about a year. So September was working through, hating my life, could not count on my hands how many times I cried in the office, in the toilets we had outside. Just, I hadn't a clue what I was doing, and it was just such a like heavily male dominated industry. And I always knew that it was gonna be like, when in my uni class there was, I would say 100 boys and maybe 20 girls. And like, I knew it was always gonna be so like male dominated. And like, I have 3 brothers, so I was like, I'm prepared for this. I'm like, this is made for me. Like, women in STEM, I'm gonna thrive. Absolutely not. Like, it was so much harder than I ever thought it was going to be. I don't know why, like, because everyone I worked with was so lovely.
Yeah.
It was just
probably just didn't feel aligned even.
No, definitely not.
And at that time, were you like, I really want to work for myself and make something work on my own? Or were you just like, I want a different job, or just want out of this industry?
I was so lost. I was just like, I didn't even know what I wanted. All in my, like, I've always had an itch for traveling. So it was just like travel. I wasn't even thinking about work. I was just telling myself, things will work out. God knows what them things are, but we're just going to roll with it.
Yeah.
So that year went on, and I kind of did start dabbling back into doing the recipes again, just out of sheer fun. I was like, I haven't done it in a while. Let's start again. And there was like a health committee in work. So I got on that, and then I started emailing out everyone in work like recipes each week.
I love that.
I know.
That's
it was kind of tying in what I loved doing, but putting it back in. And that's when I kind of did start enjoying the engineering a wee bit more, because obviously I was tying in something that was nothing to do with engineering, but it was part of me.
Yeah.
So I was emailing, and like the people I worked with, they were old men, like, and they were telling me that they were using the recipes.
That's unreal.
That was so, like, it just fulfilled me so much.
That's such a typical example of like, you have something that you have to do for a period of time. Either you can sit in the misery of it, or you can try and make something a little bit better of it, and actually make it a little bit enjoyable for yourself going forward.
So I'd started emailing them out recipes. I think it must have been every Friday or something. I would email out a recipe, and it was so nice, you know, getting the feedback and hearing people making the stuff again. Because that's kind of what also drove me to keep doing my page. Because anytime I posted, people would reshare it to their stories, like resharing their own creation of it. And I was like, it was so nice knowing that I actually was helping people. Like, I didn't care that I wasn't making money, but it was knowing that at times I felt like, what am I posting for? Like, are people actually getting use out of this? Whenever people let you know that they're using your recipes, you're like I'm making a difference to someone. Yeah. You know, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be 1 million people. Like, as long as I'm making a difference to one person, like, that's all that matters. You know, I'm helping somebody. So
100%.
So that year went on, and wasn't loving it, but was just like, Australia, I'm going traveling, that's grand, save. And then it came to the July. So it was about 9 months when I was working, and Ryan sent me a photo or a screenshot, and it was of Sean Casey's story. And he put it up. I actually went back through my phone to see if I still had it, and I did. And I was like, oh my God, it's so weird. So he put up a story being like, I'm looking for a part-time chef, just to help me with recipes. And Ryan sent it to me, and I burst out laughing. I was like, I'm so delighted that you think I'm a chef pet, but sure, what's the harm? So he was like, because Ryan would know Sean, because they're both from Banbridge. he was like, do you want me to say it to him? I was like, frig it, yeah. I was like, I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So Ryan wrote to him and was like, yeah, Piera's interested. Gave him my details. Then me and Sean had a call. And basically it was for me to come on and help him with recipes. He was in the midst of starting his app. So it was his app's called Glean. So it's more or less just like it's an app where he has all of his clients on, and he's got like a recipe portal and everybody's workouts are all on it. So whenever, Sean was like to Ryan, yeah, I think she'd be perfect for that. And whenever I heard that at this stage, like I'd say it was about 2 weeks before that, I was like thrown in the towel. I was like, this is just not for me again. You know, always just had that doubt. And then that came up and I was like, this is another person taking a chance on me whenever I am not even thriving on that page. I'm like, clearly there is something here. And I'm like, I don't know why I couldn't see it myself, but I was like, I need to just keep pushing on and keep, like, I can make something out of this. So whenever he took that chance and I started working with him at this stage, so it was, that was in July. And then I'd almost started working with him after about a month. So maybe August time. And I'd already done all my saving for Australia. So I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like I'm finally, like I was loving it. And I was like, because I'm basically eating everything that I'm making.
Yeah,
and it's like,
so it was like a win-win.
Yeah, I was like, I am just videoing, for him it was the videos. So that's when I got into the videos. I was only ever photos at that stage, and I was never doing videos. I didn't even have TikTok or anything at this stage. And whenever he was like, yeah, we want like video style. And I was like, so nervous. See comment, like, just, I don't know what it is about Ireland, but you're so embarrassed about everything. Like, see, the first time I done a voiceover, I couldn't even listen back to it myself. I was like, oh my God, I'm so skundered.
Funny. So when you say that as well, like when I started my page, similarly, I used to have an AI voice. I got like an AI like voice. I never did use my own voice. I was so scared. I was like, oh my God.
It's crazy. Like, it's just absolutely mental. Like, why would you be so embarrassed about that? Yeah. Like, I look back now and sometimes I rewatch my old videos and I just laugh. I'm like, you could just tell how frightened I was. I'm like, this is uneasy to listen to.
Went right back the other night to start my videos and it was like, oh my God, like
so bad.
It's amazing seeing the progress you make.
It is. It's great. And I keep them up because I love going back and like just laughing at it. Like.
And I also go back to someone else who's starting a page, like if you're in the time, I remember like you probably felt the same, so you're so scared, so nervous what people think. But it's like thinking of like our journeys even over the last few years and like all we've created and like potentially not having done that because of fear of judgment, like that is just even more insane. Like think of the potential you have and crazy. The possibility you have to like change people's lives, to create a life for yourself that you absolutely love living. Like that is the potential you have if you just actually go for it and do the thing. Like fuck fear of judgment, like fuck that, just literally. Do it. Like
it's crazy. Like but yeah, so started working with him and that was around August time, and the money that I was getting from the recipes that I was doing for him I'd done my saving for Australia, but the money I was getting from him would have been enough to cover like my groceries and just like all the wee bits, like nights out. Like it was enough. It wasn't loads, but it was enough to do me. Like I didn't technically need to do the engineering on the side. I actually think, now that I think about it, I was also selling protein balls at this stage, just randomly. I had so many random like I've never had just one job. I always knew, like I just always loved to be doing something more. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So I had enough money coming in that I was like, I'm coming up to my year in the engineer and I'm like, that's a year's experience. That's enough for the CV. I was like, I'm just going to pack this in.
Oh, unreal.
And I was so afraid. Like, I remember going up to my boss and like just telling him like, I'm going to be handing my notes in, and the shakes that I had walking over to his desk. I was like, why am I so... Like, I knew it was the right decision, but it was like, also, I'm like, is it the right decision? And I was like, no, let's do this. So packed it in. I was like, I'm going to take... So also in the back of my head, I was like, right, this is another opportunity to come up around the same time when I'm deciding to leave again. And like, so this happened. So with me and Madden thing, it happened. She reached out to me after I'd booked the Bali. She reached out to me after I'd booked Bali, knew I was going away. And then I was like, almost like deja vu. I was like, right, Sean's reached out to me and I am planning. So it wasn't just we were leaving to go to Australia and I was going to be able to come here and do recipes. It was we were leaving and we were traveling for 5 or 6 months. And I was like, there is no chance that I would, because we're moving around every 2 or 3 days. There's no chance you're going to be able to cook in between and like do all the things you want to do. So I was like, right, what I'm going to do this time, I'm not going to mess up this opportunity. I'm going to leave the engineering place and I'm going to take these next 3 months and I am going to backlog like crazy. I'm going to have so many recipe videos here now that I won't have to do that when I'm away, and I will have enough. So it was 3 recipes. I think it was 3 videos a week he was looking. And I was like, right, so I worked it out how many videos I needed to cover the amount of weeks. I was like, right, I'll have at least 6 months of recipe videos done.
I love that.
So the amount of food that was in my house in 3 months, oh my God.
Amazing.
Like normally people like, you know, try and diet before they go away, like on their holidays. I was like, there was so much food, like, and it was like sweet treat and they were all healthy and all, but the amount, like, I can't make something and not try it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there was, I think there was a whole month where I was doing, because I was doing other things as well. Obviously trying to do my own content. So I wanted to backlog content for myself as well. But I was doing, I think, 5 or 6 recipe videos a day for a week. And I'm so lucky that like my dad, he wasn't working full time. He was floating about the house. Like my brothers were coming and going. I was like, there was people around to eat it as well.
Yeah.
Like, because you wouldn't want it to go to waste.
No.
Because I actually remember, because I used to get hair extensions done whenever I was at home and in Belfast. The girls always said to me like, how much food do you throw out? And I'm like, I don't. I'm like, I eat it all.
That's
they were like,
so good.
they thought that I would make all this and then throw it out. I'm like, that would literally break my heart.
Yeah.
Like I'm the type of person that even if I'm full and I go out for a meal, I'm like, I'm eating all that.
Yeah,
I'm like, that is delicious.
Like,
I'm like,
toxic
bring
trait,
that.
but it's good.
Yeah, I can't throw anything out. But so yeah, actually whenever Sean wanted recipes for him, I done the videos for him, and it was kind of like cringing at my own voice, but I was like, I need to start doing this for my page. Like I need to, and that's when I started my TikTok. So it was at that same time, and I don't think only for him taking that chance and asking me to do that would I have ever started TikTok.
Yeah.
And like, so that was 2022. Was it 20? Yeah, I think it was 2022. Yeah, because we left in 2023. No, we left. Oh, sorry, I'm all confused with dates. Whatever it was, whatever year it was. So whenever I started with him, say September, and that's started my TikTok in September as well. And at the same time, like it was crazy because do you know the way some people start TikTok and it takes them a while to take off?
Yeah.
Like my first few videos, bang, 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 like just,
wow.
And at the time, like it was maybe only like 30,000 views, but that's a lot for someone starting off. And
Definitely.
I was like, it was such an eye opener for me because I was like, oh my God, I'm like as scunnered as I am posting this. I'm like, people want to see it,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And like, it was just crazy. So from the start, it was so, I didn't have that. I know a lot of people start whenever they're trying to get into it, they start and it's very disheartening, putting all this effort into editing and then not going anywhere. Whereas for me, it was like, I was putting in all this effort and it was just going boom, boom, boom.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It was kind of brewing for a while.
Yeah.
It was like the kind of thing that kept coming back up, that it was like, take action.
Yeah.
Here you go. This is for you. And then
really
when you did it, just like.
And because I had the time then, because I'd left the job, it was like I had so much creative energy. It was just unbelievable. And I was just loving life. Like I literally was just I just remember being in the kitchen. I'm like, I can't believe that I'm doing this right now. Like
That's
I'm
so
like,
unreal.
And also part of me was like, I wasted 4 years doing engineering. But I in my head, I was like, well, I technically could always have to go back to it. So done that then. That took me up to Christmas time, banged out all the recipes for him. I also reached out to a few other PTs, just kind of dabbling my hand. I'm like, does anybody else kind of want these? And everyone was like, yeah.
That's
I was like, what? Like, what have I been sleeping on here?
That's insane.
Do you know? So I started working with a few people, and it was like, geez, this is like I had an income coming in for my whole period of me traveling. Like we got to Australia, and like for like I was like, the funds aren't even anywhere near running low here.
That's
I was like,
class.
this is unbelievable. Like, because normally after freaking 6 months of traveling, but because I had done so much work before I left, it was just like just one thing after another. And it was unbelievable. So whenever we actually we done our 5 months of traveling, best 5 months ever. Like, oh, it was just unbelievable. And then I was kind of towards the end of it, I was running out of content, and it was like, do we go to Laos or do we just go to Sydney and I can get back into this? And I'm a creature of habit, and I was out of routine for so long. I was like, look, Ryan, like we're going to be in Australia. We're going to be so close to all these countries that we wanted. Like we done Thailand for a month, we done the Philippines for a month, and then we done Vietnam for almost 2 months. And I was
wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
A long
like
time.
it's a long time to be out of routine. And like because it's so cheap to eat out there, obviously we weren't cooking at all.
Yeah.
So it was like, I kind of just want to get back into routine because I love doing the recipes, you know. So it was like there was a part of me kind of missing. I'm like, even though I had all the content on my phone, I think I still have content that I didn't use because
that is
there
just
was that
insane,
much.
though. That
I know,
graph, like that you put it obviously before you went.
It was mental.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, look, I think I just kind of want to get back into it because TikTok was booming and all before I left. Like in them 3 months, I think I grew my TikTok to over 100,000 followers. Like which was
insane.
crazy. Or maybe it was over, but before I got to Australia anyway, it was over 100,000. So I was like, look, I just kind of want to get back into it. So we decided, right, we'll head to Sydney. And whenever we got here, because I was like, I told myself I would get the year's experience, so I would have the experience in the engineering to come to Sydney. And then whenever I got here, I was like, nah. I was like, do you know what? I'm getting money in from the recipes. I have enough there to kind of do me. I'll maybe get like 2 days in a cafe and I'll do my recipes on the side. I'll try that for a year. I'll see if I can grow, see if I can do more, make more of a business, try and help more people. And yeah, so I said I give myself a year to do that, and if it doesn't work out, I'll fall back in the engineering. And like, we're not even here a year yet, and like everything has just skyrocketed. Like, whenever I first moved here, don't get me wrong, it was so hard to reach into the Australian audience, and I was kept my videos the same as what I was at home, and this was where I got the disheartening bit that I probably should have got at the start.
Yeah.
So
you put in all the effort, and maybe the views weren't up to expectation or what they used to be.
So
like,
whenever we left home, I think like my average views then, so I'd built it up until the December, January, whenever we left, my average views was probably around 300,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Insane.
And it was crazy reach. And it was because I feel like everybody at home loves a good takeaway, and they love being able to make their own takeaway a wee bit healthier, because like that's everybody's favorite food. Whereas whenever I came to Australia, I was like, everybody eats healthy here.
Yeah,
I was like,
it is different.
Yeah, it's a different lifestyle. I was like, nobody really like craves that takeaway kind of stuff. And not all my recipes are takeaways. It's showing you how to make a salad taste nicer. It's showing you how to make healthy food taste nicer. It doesn't have to be a takeaway. Like, you can just add a seasoning, and that's just going to make lettuce taste unbelievable, you know?
Yeah.
But whenever I got here, I was like,
like adapt a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, everybody's already on their health game. Like, it was very, like, my views whenever I got here, like, could have been 1,000. Like, that was like in and around was the average.
After going from fucking 300,000, that must have been a bit like, oh my God, what's going on here?
Another, like, am I doing the right thing? Like, will I have to go back into the engineering? So that's why I did the cafe on the side. I was like, I have that safety net. Do you know, I have that. So I was doing the recipes, still doing the recipes for Sean at this stage, trying to build up my own page. Didn't really feel like it was going anywhere, but I was like, keep going, just keep going, just keep going. And I did keep going. I'm so glad I did, because it was so weird. There was one particular, I'll actually remember it. There was one night, so I hadn't really grown at all in Australia, and I was just keeping going. I was like, I need to just keep on top of this. I was like, I had them, like, everyone's taking the chance on me. I know I'm good at what I'm doing. It's just, I haven't reached the right people here yet.
Yeah.
And there was one, I kept my videos to what I was doing at home. And then I was like, right, there was one night and we were sitting in the apartment. And I don't know why, I mean, I never really discussed my style of videos or anything with Ryan. And I just turned around him. I was like, I think I'm going to try this style of video today. And it's so funny, because now everybody on TikTok is like, this is all you do. But I'm like, it's how people want this type of video. So it was like, do you know at the start of a video when someone's like, did you know if you did that? Like, do you know that? Did you know if you add this and this and this? See, from I started doing them videos, like 6 million views straight off the bat. Like, it was mental. And like, I never discuss my TikTok or anything with him, but I don't know why I brought it up. I was like, I'm going to try this style of video. And it's so weird, because I'm like, that's the only ever time I've discussed that with him. And it was the time whenever because he was like, yeah, go for it. He's like, why not? And I was like, okay, let's do it. Because normally the videos I was doing at home, I would show all of my recipe at the start of the video. So everybody sees that I'm making at the start, so then they have to watch the video to know how to make it.
Right.
Whereas this time round, it cuts out what everyone's starting at.
Yeah.
And then they almost like are intrigued to see what it turns out at the end.
Yeah.
So whenever I started doing that, it just blew up again.
That's unreal.
It's crazy, because you don't realize how the video, the actual content, the exact same. It's just how you
structure it.
Yeah.
And I think with like even social media, like anyone's posting social media, it's all about kind of watch time. Because again, that's how Instagram, TikTok gets crazy. Through people watching it.
Crazy, because like that was 6 months, like 6 months difference. Like, everyone was so intrigued at the start with the other style of video. Obviously, people have got used to that. They're like bored of that.
Yeah.
Change it up, bored of that. Now they're bored of that now, so I'm switching it up again. But I still I know what I'm doing now. Do you know? Yeah. And I'm still growing. Like, it's crazy. So now, like, I know it's not all about followers, but like, obviously the more followers I have, the more people I'm helping.
Yeah.
So like, my TikTok now is on over 350,000, Instagram over 250,000. It's like, I think I don't even think I had 100,000 whenever I came to Australia. And then I've built that from I've been here, which is just crazy.
Insane.
So whenever I started growing more, I also had the idea in my head. I was like, I want to do a recipe book. I was like, everyone keeps asking me to do one. I actually started one in COVID like years ago, and I'd called it the unorthodox detox. And see, looking back now, I'm like, I am so glad that I did not put that out there, because it was just not it. But it was like, I knew I always wanted to do one. I'm so creative. You know, I love that. Not even just the actual recipes. I love designing the book. I love all of it, you know. And so I started working then on a recipe book. It was in July of last year, and I was like, I'm going to make this happen. But you know, whenever you don't lock in a date, you're like, it's like you have nothing to work towards.
Yeah. It's called like Parkinson's law. It's like the task, whatever you give yourself will expand to the amount of time you give yourself to do it. So if you give yourself 6 months to do something, it's going to take 6 months. Whereas you're like, I have 1 month to do this, it'll take a month.
So I had the idea I wanted to do it, was telling everyone I was doing it. And I was like, I haven't set a date. I was like, girl, you're nothing to work towards here. Yeah. So then it came, said I was doing it in July. And then it came to like August. And I was like, this is it. Putting a date out there. I'm doing it. It's going to be done before Christmas. And spent then all of the last half of the year really working through it. So I think there's 52 recipes in it.
Insane.
Yeah, and oh my god, it was a challenge. And as much as I enjoyed doing it, it was also so difficult. There's so many things, like, because I did everything myself. Like, I didn't know. I thought Shopify was like, so Shopify is the platform obviously that you sell the recipe book on. To me, Shopify was going to be like an Amazon. I hadn't even looked up the website before. This is about 3 weeks before I was about to launch the book. I was like, yeah, I'm going to sell on Shopify. But I thought Shopify was an Amazon where I upload a book and someone can search it. Yeah. And then I realized whenever I went on, I was like, I'm just going to trial this out here, because it said you had like a free trial. And I was like, well, I don't want to get the free trial before I'm about to sell it, because what's the point in that? Went on and looked at it and I was like, oh my God, I have to create a website. More or less had to design a web page. And oh my God, like, ridiculous the amount, like, it probably so easy. It would be so easy for me to go and do it now, because I know what I've done. See, looking at that as someone who had never seen anything like that before, I was like, what the hell is this?
I think that's the key when you're doing anything. If you try to look at the whole picture and everything you have to do and really overanalyze, you're going to get stuck in that, like, oh my God, it's too much, and never do any action. But you probably took the right approach in terms of just taking it literally day by day, step by step. I had to crossing jumping those obstacles as you came to them, rather than looking at like because it can be so overwhelming doing something like that, like so big.
No, 100%. And like, so it was more or less all the recipes and all the videos were done, and it was a challenge. Trying to do that, like, do a recipe book, making something so nice, and like, I can't share this with everyone, like, because as soon as I make something, I want to share it.
I know,
do you know? And it's like, there was so many recipes. I was like, I just want to post this on my page, but I was like, no, I can't. Like, I need to gatekeep, you know? Yeah. So
100%.
Yeah, I did all that, and that was. It took me a good 6 months to do that now, and I didn't know how I was going to go, like, because obviously, like, I don't know, you just, again, just doubting yourself. You're like, I have an audience, but are they engaged with me? Like, are they willing to buy off me? Do you know, I had the page over, like, 2018. How many years is that? Is that 7 years?
That's
had the page 7 years.
It's actually wild saying that 2018 was 7 years ago.
So 7 years. So like 7 years I've had that page, and I only made money off it then, obviously, whenever I done the book. So like, that was a lot of graft, you know, for something that you didn't know how it was going to go or anything.
I think the biggest thing even on your journey over the last 7 years is, like, you've doubted yourself so many times, but you've just kept taking action to create the evidence then to be able to back yourself. And it was those little things that just kept giving you, oh, this is going to work. And then you kept taking action, you got something else, you're like, oh, this could work. And you just kept getting that evidence, stacking that evidence, and now you obviously believe it yourself so much.
I know, I do, and it's so great. So like, obviously the recipe book, whenever I launched it, I hadn't a clue how it was going to go, but it was the best thing I ever done. Like, that's insane. Literally, because you just don't know. Like, you don't, like, I have, like, because I have all these followers, but like, you don't really interact with them one-on-one. You know, you don't know who is actually using your recipes. Like, people reshare it, but it's like, I have so much free content on there. Like, they've a mountain of recipes for free. I'm like, why would they buy it? You know? And then as soon as I hit launch, it was like, oh my God. I was like, this is not wise. Like, it done above and beyond what I was even thinking it was going to do.
That's insane.
It was just crazy. And I was like, I have been sleeping on this for so long here. Like,
it's like years worth of work literally packed in,
but
and
also,
it was all coming to fruition.
Yeah, I feel like if I'd done it, I feel like everything has just happened at the right time. You know, if I tried to do that one back during COVID, it could have, like, 100%. Looking back now, it wouldn't have been any sort of direction that I would have wanted to go on. Like, I feel like back in the day when I first started, it was all about calories, and it was all just about having a low calorie option for something. Whereas now it's more like, this is why you need fiber, this is why you need protein. Like, it's not just everything needs to be low calorie. It's like a lot more balanced now, and it's like, not everything has to be under 300 calories. Like, chill out, sis. So like, I just feel like I'm more happy in my content now, and I know I will be happy in the future of what I'm putting out. It feels more aligned. Yeah, it does, definitely.
And at what point did you step back from the coffee shop and you're like, okay, now I'm ready to, like, really go all in?
So it's only recent. So basically, I done the book and it was amazing, and I just released it before Christmas, and it actually was coming to the point where I still had my money that I'd saved from our traveling whenever I was still working with Sean, and had the money coming through, but like, funds were getting low to the point where I was like, I don't know, will I, like, if this doesn't go well, I will have to go full time into the coffee shop. You know,
Yeah.
it was like, it was coming up to Christmas, getting presents, doing stuff. We were going to Byron. Like, it was just, there was a lot of things having to be paid for. I was like, if this doesn't go well, God knows I'm going to be engineering in January, you know?
Yeah.
And thank God it did go well. And it was unbelievable. And from I've done it, I've just had so many more ideas that I want to do, you know, and I want, like, I've started doing recipe books for coaches. So, like, I have my own recipe book, and then the recipe book I have for them is all separate recipes. Like, they're not posted on my page, they're not on my recipe book. So I've started dabbling into that. I've got a few coaches on just this last couple of weeks.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
But I was still, obviously, like, the coffee shop, I was still in the coffee shop. So all over, whenever I was doing the book, still in the coffee shop, up until Christmas, still in the coffee shop. Only finished, my last shift in the coffee shop was last Sunday.
Really?
Yeah, last Sunday.
And how did that feel, like, to step away from, like, because, like, it's such a security blanket. It's
it
just
was
like
such
this
a
false
security
sense of
blanket.
almost
Like, and I was
security.
only really doing, like, it got to the stage where I was doing 2 days, and then I put myself down to 1 day, and it was like, I loved it. I loved working there.
Yeah.
I loved the people I met there, the vibes there, and I just said to myself, I was like, I'm going to keep this on for the crack.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I going to be doing, sitting at home all day making food by myself? I was like, if I have 1 day out of the house, it'll be great for me.
Yeah.
And then it got to the stage where, like, when I tell you, this is probably the busiest coffee shop in Sydney, to the point where you don't have the crack with anybody because you cannot, like, your tunnel vision making coffee, like, fight or flight, my body is in trying to get, like, you're making coffees before somebody orders it because you know someone's going to take it. Like, and it's
That's
crazy.
what I imagine working at Yochi's like.
Yeah, literally. I actually worked in a froyo place before as well. I've had so many jobs. But yeah, so last Sunday was my last shift, and I was telling myself, oh, I'm here for the crack. And then it was like every time, like, just towards the end, it was like every day I was going in there, all I could think about was how much more I could be doing for myself. I was like, even if it's 1 day, I'm like, whenever I go in there, I am so mentally and physically drained just because it's so busy.
Yeah.
And, like, it really does take it out of you being on your feet all day in a place that is so like, I was on high alert the whole day just because it's flat out, like, and so that would knock out that whole day for me.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I would also still be a bit drained. So it's like I would have no creative energy.
Yeah, and even thinking how much more, like, impact you could have made in terms of bringing in money on your own business in those 2 days.
So that was also
that
also was the thing. So I noticed anytime I posted a book sale, like there was more book sales, and from I've done the book, like, the book was launched in before December, and, like, there's been a sale at least every day, you know, since then. The launch was crazy.
Wow.
But still, since then, like, people are still buying it, you know, and it's just like a constant thing. And the more I post on my page, the more people buy it.
Yeah.
Do you know, and, like, because they can see, like, her recipes are good, whatever, like, this is obviously going to help me. So it got to that, and I was like, look, I think there was a couple of days in there where my phone pings, and it's actually, I need to turn it off because it's like a cha-ching whenever someone buys off you in Shopify.
I used to have a clothing brand.
It's so embarrassing. And it would go off, and it goes off on my Apple Watch as well, and it goes cha-ching, and I'm like, I've literally made more off this book than I will make off this whole shift today. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
That is wild.
So I was like, the more I posted, the more I knew sales I could make on that, and I was like, look, it's just not, it's in my head. I was like, do it. But part of me was like, oh, I love the people I work with. And I was saying, like, it was one of the girls. So there was me and another girl who was a barista. Like, you wouldn't get talking to the people who are on the till because that's like, I was just about getting talked to the barista beside me because that's how busy it was. So I was saying to her, I was like, I'm here for the crack, but, like, I know I could be doing so much more.
Yeah.
And she was like, Piera, we can meet outside of work. She's like, we can have the crack outside of work. And I was
I forgot about that.
I was like, oh my God, you're so right. So me and her then went to matcha date, and I was like, right, so we both had 1 day off. Like, we went for a matcha, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have my notice in then this week. Because obviously I realised you can have the crack outside of work with the people that you work with.
It was really like an excuse to be like, keeping yourself safe, like in that safety net.
Yeah. So it all kind of fell in at the same time, because whenever I decided, right, I didn't want to leave, but it was like, Ryan's ones are coming over. I'm like, I'm going to have to take time off to be with them. The day Ryan's ones leave, my best friend moves out here.
Okay.
I was like, I would have to take time off for her. And it's like, if I take time off of my own work and I'm going into work in a cafe in the midst of this, doing 1 day a week, I'm not getting anything done for myself, because I'm taking time off to spend with them. So I could maybe, like, at the minute, I could only have 2 days to do my content, 2 days to do content for other people. And it's like, that's already 6 recipes that I need to get done in 2 days,
Yeah.
you know? So I was like, it's kind of all falling in at the same time. I'm like, I'm just going to have to leave. And I did. So that was last Sunday was my last shift. And I didn't really tell anybody. So it was kind of
congratulations.
Like, I know.
I
know.
can't believe, I thought it was a while back. I didn't know it was, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That
and
is
like,
amazing.
yeah, so.
That's so exciting.
I know.
So now it's like literally the first week you've been fully working for yourself.
See, that first week that I like the first, it was not Sunday past, but the Sunday before that.
Yeah.
But that week after that Sunday, the amount of ideas that I had was mental. And even just people like, but there was more people reaching out to me about like, so that first week I had 3 people reach out to me about the recipe book for coaches, and I haven't really promoted that yet.
Wow.
You know, and it's like I've done 3 of them simply by almost like the universe is like, here you go, girl. You've done the right thing. Take that.
Completely back.
It's just crazy. Like, and I feel like stuff like that kind of always happens.
Like
at
when
the
you
right
back
time.
yourself, or when you go in on yourself, like it really does. It reaps rewards.
Yeah, there's so many wee things that has happened to me, and I'm like, it's just crazy. And like another wee thing that's just popped into my head there, like I almost feel like I speak things into existence in a way like that's so aligned with what I should be doing that it's like it's a sign, like this is what you're supposed to be doing. Stop doubting yourself.
Yeah.
So in our last apartment, I'd never had a NutriBullet, and I never wanted a NutriBullet, but our last apartment was fully furnished.
Okay.
And it had a NutriBullet, and from we had that, I turned around one day, I was like, frig me, I was like, I would have never wanted one of those, but now that we have one, like we're gonna have to buy one for the new apartment, because our apartment that we were getting, our new apartment was gonna be completely empty. So like we had everything furnished in our last apartment, toaster, the lot.
Okay.
So the whole NutriBullet thing, yeah. So I said, yeah, we're gonna have to buy one. They're not that dear. I was like, but I never wanted one, but now I'm like, I couldn't be without one.
Yeah.
About 3 days later, NutriBullet emailed me and was like, we want you to try out our new maybe it wasn't that soon, maybe it was about a week later. Still, but it was so soon after I'd said that to him. They're like, yeah, we'd love to send you our new NutriBullet range. And I was like, I sent him the screenshot of this. I was like, is this for real?
That's
I was like,
wild.
Are you scamming me here?
That is wild.
So weird. Like so many wee things like that happened to me, to be like, just to prove to me.
Confirmation.
Yeah. And I'm like, I just know now, like, I don't know why I needed all these wee signs, you know, I don't know why I couldn't believe in myself from the start, but like now I'm like, no, there's no going back now. Like this is me for life. 100%. And like people always say to me, do you not think you'll ever go back in the engineer? And I was like, it's not for me. Yeah. I was like, as much as I loved doing the course at the time, simply because the maths and whatever in it, I just know it's not what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you like the amount of belief you have now compared to what you used to have. Literally just because of the evidence you've created. Like you've taken action with the fear anyways, and you've created that evidence that you have now to be like, I've done this. Like there's no reason why I can't even do this again or do more of this or lean into like more ideas I'm having. I know, and it's crazy because I do, like as days go on, I just have so many more ideas. And actually I remember my cousin turned around to me, she was like you're gonna run out of recipes. And I was like, that's not the attitude, because I actually won't. Because I don't get inspo from recipes from other people. I get inspo from recipes from my cupboard. Like I will look in and I'll say, what do I have here? What can I throw together? And I'm so lucky in that way. For whenever I was growing up, like my dad, he would be the main cook in our house. So he would just throw anything in. Like he would just make, like, he never followed a recipe. Like he's Italian background, so they are just throw everything in. Yeah. So let's see what it tastes like. Yeah. That's and so like cool. I feel like I've grew up then, so we just throw anything. Like who cares if it goes? We'll find out after. And like obviously as the years went on, I've realized like what goes together, what could I throw in here to make it nicer. So yeah, so my recipes are really just based off what I have, what do I think will be nice, and just go from there, which is so good. You know? That is so cool. And how do you like even now plan or structure your days? But like even when you were working in the coffee shop, or now especially that you're not working in the coffee shop, I know it's still a bit relatively newer, but like when you're working for yourself, like how do you navigate through like making time for yourself in the mornings and then like getting into your work day, or like working like lots of hours or less hours? So to be honest, I feel like my structure isn't the best, and I know the weeks that I do structure myself, I'm great. Yeah. But I always make time for myself in the morning, and I will not start work. I will not start doing any work for myself until 8 o'clock, like 8 o'clock earliest. 8 o'clock earliest, but probably closer to 9, because see just getting yourself up and out and not looking at the phone. I actually listened to a podcast by Mel Robbins. Do you ever listen to her? I do. She's great. And it was like, it was whatever one it was the other day, and it just opened my eyes so much. It was like, would you let how many, say I've got whatever followers on whatever, she's like, would you let them sit in your room whenever you wake up in the morning? She's like, and then whatever the person was like, no. And then she's like, well, why would you open up your phone and like let them into your life so early in the morning? And I was like,
oh my God. So from then, I just don't look at my phone. I'll get up, get myself out, go down for a swim, and that's my steps, my swim, or else I'm
Unreal.
going to the gym and I'm just filling my own cup in the morning, you know, because see the days that I don't do that, I am so agitated, so like, just, I feel like I don't have that creative flow then. I'm like just all over the place, and it just puts so much, like I would put myself under so much pressure for no reason. And then sometimes I just have to remind myself, I'm like, you're working for yourself now. Like you're the only person you have to answer to. Yeah. And that kind of takes me back. It's like, why am I stressing over doing something for myself? I know obviously I want to grow and grow, but like I am my boss. Like I am the only person I have to answer to. So if I want to take a morning off for my mental health, take it. Do you know?
Absolutely.
Do you know?
And sometimes that can actually lead you to just be more productive and actually be able to work like smarter rather than, because that's even something I've had to learn over the last few years of working for myself too. It's like more work doesn't necessarily mean more results. Yeah. It's about kind of smart work. And like you could work 4 hours, you could work so productively and get so much impactful work done. Whereas you could work 9 hours and get fuck all done. So it's not necessarily about the time you're putting 100%. In, but it's more just the intention behind it as well.
Yeah. And I think my main goal is not to make as much money as possible. It's to have as much free time as possible. Yeah. You know, that's my focus, and that's what I value so much. See, having quality time with your friends, your family, like just being able to take the time off and do that while still having enough to get by. Like it's not that I only have enough to get by, but like that's all I need. Do you know, like that is what makes me the happiest. It's not about being able to buy all these fancy things and go fancy places. It's just having the time to actually sit and enjoy having time with people.
I love that. And I think that's so important when starting a business, that loads of people kind of miss that. They like try to they get caught up in the growth and get caught up in the like 10k months, 20k months, 30k months. Whereas like you need to just really bring it back to you personally and like what success actually means and looks like to you, which is like obviously what you've done there very, very well.
100% is just having the time. And like just like see now my best friend moving over from home, like I'm like, I have all the time in the world to spend with her. I'm like, if I post 2 recipes a week, great. If I don't post any one week, I know I can post more the next week. Like I am not putting myself on a timeline where I want to achieve this by this date. You know, maybe I should have like some form of goal like that. But at this stage of my life, I'm like, I just want to have fun. You know, and I want to enjoy what I'm doing. Like I love what I'm doing so much that it doesn't feel like a job, and I'm so lucky to say that. But I don't want it to start feeling like a job to the point where I feel like I need to not do something because of this here. Do you know what I mean? Like I have my set days where I do content. I know I have 3 recipes. I have 6 recipes going out on a Monday, and I always get them done. Do you know what? Like it's non-negotiable. I will get them done. I'll make time for that. And like that's my like 6 recipes non-negotiable, and then anything after that for me is a bonus. Yeah. Do you know?
That's so unreal. I love that kind of structure mindset as well.
Yeah. So I kind of do. That's what I love, having just like that flexibility. Do you know, it's made such a difference. Like
unreal.
Like now being out of it, I don't think I could ever. Like I look at people going into like a 9 to 5, and I'm like,
no, I'm the same. I'm like, how do you have time to do any of your life admin?
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. And like even though like obviously majority of my stuff is based on content, but people don't realize how much time goes into that.
Oh my God, like so much. I like that. Yeah.
It's so crazy. And I don't know if it's just me, but see, from start to finish, for me to edit after I've done the video, for me to edit, voiceover, upload, like that's at least 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm the same.
And I'm
I love it though. I go into like this flow state when I'm making content, editing. I absolutely love it. But like a toxic trait of mine is that even though that is work, like sometimes I don't like, because it doesn't feel like work to me. I'm like, I'm not even working. Like I'll be in bed at like 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night, literally editing videos. But I'm like, I don't count that on my work day. Like that is such a toxic trait.
But it's also good at the same time though, because you love it so much. You know, like, and you're never going to get sick of that.
Definitely.
But I've noticed it like this last while where I could be on my phone and then in the evenings and I'm like, shit, Ryan's home from work now. Do you know, I need to put it down. And like, it's hard because you're like, obviously I always try and post at a time whenever Australian people are awake and home people are awake. So I'm not posting in the middle of the night or like for anybody. So like,
it's usually from like 6 to 9 at night.
Yeah, it is. So like, it's just trying to kind of balance that along with like, because a lot of the work that I do, I feel like I would probably do better if I did in the evenings, but obviously I want to have time with him. Yeah. So it's like just kind of having that ready in the morning and then I can just post at night.
Just literally pop it up, save it to drafts and stuff like that. Amazing. So, how do you find like even that balance in like working for yourself with your relationship and stuff? Like navigating that even at the weekends? Do you ever have to like work at the weekends? We'll say when like you'd rather spend time with him, or do you just kind of like feel like, no, I'm not working weekends?
I'm so bad. See, as soon as that man comes through the door, I'm switch off.
Aww,
I'm like, I don't need to think about anything. I don't need to do anything. Good. And only for rights. Actually, this is also another mad thing. So in December, whenever I was to launch my recipe book, it was kind of getting to the last. So it was the start of December, and I was like, I have a lot to do here. And I was like, look, whenever if he asked me, he could ask me to go for a drink at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, and I'm like, if you're there, I'm there.
Aww.
Or he could ask me to go for a coffee at 9 o'clock. I don't drink coffee at 9, but I'm like, if you're going for a coffee at 9, I'll go for a coffee at 9. And it's just like, I just love spending time with him to the point where I can't say no, because like, I love spending time with him. So it was the start of December, and I was like, I don't know how. I was like, please don't ask me to do anything, because I won't be able to say no, and I know it's going to hold me back. Lo and behold, came to the start of December, and he turned around to me. He's like, here, I have to go to Rockhampton for 3 weeks. He was like, my work turned around to me and said, either go to Rockhampton for 3 weeks or you've no work all of Christmas. And I was like, go.
You just speaking stuff into existence again.
Get out of here. I was like, that suits me down to the ground. As much as I missed him, I didn't have a chance to miss him. I was so busy, and I was like, all I could do was thank God that he was away, which is awful. Because I was like, see, if he was at home, I wouldn't have got it done.
It's probably even nicer than that he's come back together at Christmas Eve and got like even more intentional time together.
Yeah, so it was mental, because I remember whenever he told me. So my launch date was the 19th, and he was due to fly back on the 19th. It was like that, and he didn't know he had to go away. Like, it was literally the week before he had to go, and I was like, this couldn't have came at a better time.
That is crazy.
I know. Everybody kept asking me, was I okay? I was like, am I okay? I was like, this is the best thing that could have happened to us. I was like, I miss him so much, but also like at that stage I was doing like, it felt like 24-hour days. It was from I get up in the morning. I wasn't making time for myself at that stage. It was up in the morning, bang through the stuff, go to bed.
And different seasons for different reasons as well. Obviously, that was a very important push point, and now you're able to actually make more intentional time for yourself,
but
and like balance.
Just mental, like the 3 weeks and the exact date of my launch date, he was to fly home.
That is like so aligned.
Crazy.
That is insane.
Like, no, he wasn't here for my launch party, which I was raging about. So I did a wee party, and I'd done like a dinner party, and it had I think I'd done like 7 or 8 different recipes from the book.
I see that. I was here as well. It looks so wholesome.
It was unreal, and I can't wait to do another one.
All right, so last question. If you were to go back to 2018 and give yourself 3 pieces of advice to fast track your progress from then till now, so say like 8 years worth of work in 1 year, what would be the 3 things that you would have needed to hear?
Okay, so number 1 would definitely be believe in yourself. And like, you might only, like, just this is me speaking to her back then, you might only think that this is a hobby, but you can do so much more with it. And you're so passionate about it, like, just roll with it and just keep doing what you're doing. Number 2 would be to stop caring about what other people think. Like, why would you be embarrassed about something that's going to help you grow and something you're so truly passionate about? Like, it baffles me why Irish people are so embarrassed by everything. Like, leaving the house, it's embarrassing. Like, it's just crazy. So yeah, just don't think about anybody else but yourself. Like, none of them people will matter in the future. Nobody, even like the people who probably you were worried about back then, are probably supporting you now. You know, they just, people change, whatever. Just don't let it get the better of you, and just keep pushing on. Number 3 then would be to just enjoy the process, and make sure you take time for yourself and enjoy what you're doing, and don't work yourself to the point where you kind of lose interest in it, because I think that did happen to me a couple of times where, like, see, whenever I did a lot of work in that time in between me leaving my engineering job and going away, and like, I was almost glad to get away and not do recipes in that period of time, to the point where it kind of sickened me to edit them, but I knew I had to, you know, but like, obviously that was for a reason, and it was so worth it. But also, you need to just not be so hard on yourself, and just do everything. Do what you can, as much as you can, while still making time for yourself and enjoying the process. I love that.
Yeah. And the last thing we're going to leave everyone with is like, what's just one piece of advice that you live by on the day to day, or just one piece of like life advice that you love?
What's for you won't pass you.
I love that.
Like, everything will happen. I feel like I'm listening to Lana so much, but everything will happen in your divine timing.
Yeah.
Basically, no matter what comes your way, whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, everything is happening for a reason. Like, I always revert back to the burnt toast theory. And like, it's basically just that if something bad happens to you, or something that holds a setback, can be the best thing that ever happens to you, because it could avoid something terrible happening. Do you know, like,
I thoroughly believe in that too.
It is like, me and Ryan always just, like, anything ever happens to us that is remotely like we are annoyed by, it's like burnt toast theory. It's like, something else terrible could have happened after that, and now that's been avoided. Do you know? I love that. So it's basically like, if you burn your toast in the morning, that could save you from getting into a car accident, getting knocked out by a bus, and you could be just raging and fuming that you burned your toast, but not actually see like what was on the other side of that. If you had burnt your toast and went out, you literally, something really bad could happen. I love it as well. That's but so definitely good. What's for you won't pass you, and I almost say that every day. I love everything, that. Even though I think to add to that, as long as you're taking aligned action and you're actually taking action towards the life you want, what's for you won't pass you ever. Absolutely. I love that. So thank you so
so much for coming on. That was banging. I hope you guys got so much value.
Unreal.
If you enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, rate it 5 stars, and we'll be back next week with another banger. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.